Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And man, what a week for gaming. I mean, it's just crazy, right? We got the Game Awards happening, whether you like Jeff or you don't. We know Xbox is going to be there. They're going to have a ton of stuff in tow. The question is, what? Is it Indiana Jones? Is it Gear 6? Is it In Exile's new game? Which, by the way, shout out to In Exile. Did you see that video where it's hashtag wizard shit? Sorry, I had to curse because that's what it is. I put it out there. My God, they are the best when it comes to marketing and just having fun, right? So today, folks, like I was saying in the opening about this week being a game, we got the Game Awards. We got Firefight landing as a free update for Halo. You got Sea of Thieves, the Safe Seas, which is, of course, safe for Mr. BoomStick XL to enjoy. So I won't get jumped and robbed. That comes out on the 7th. There is just so much gaming news, and something happened yesterday. Oh, I don't know what it was. Can't remember. Oh, that's right. Grand Theft Auto 6, the trailer, it dropped. It leaked early from YouTube. Like, what? WTF? And we have it here, the official trailer from Rockstar Games. It has broken records, as you would expect, because, well, a still image on Friday, which we talked about on Breakfast at Boom, came out. And as it stands, it has 150 million views plus. And of course, we are welcoming in our very good brother, great friend of the community, one half of the outstanding living split screen duo known as, well, Steel Rain. What's going on, brother? Welcome back.
Well, brothers, Chad, how are y'all feeling this wonderful morning going into the afternoon or evening, I guess, depending on when you're listening? Yeah, man, excited to be here. A lot of exciting things have happened over just starting the week. And then as we get into the rest of the week, there's going to be a lot more exciting things to get into and a lot of sideways conversations, I'd say, have been happening throughout the communities, especially with this whole third party snafu. But we'll definitely get into it. Appreciate you having me on. Boom. I'm excited to get into it with Danny and my fellow brother Umbra. So yeah, man, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And by the way, phenomenal show Saturday with Pong. Good stuff. I listened to it.
Thank you.
I listened to it as I always do. Like I listen to you, Kay Asante, the Iron Lords. Usually when I'm cleaning the house to make sure, to make things just kind of go a lot more smoother, if you will.
Well, between the three shows, you probably got 12 hours worth of content.
Yeah. You guys put on a pretty good show.
You're not lying. You all been for 4 hours, all of you.
Yeah. I don't know how you do it, but you know what? You do it each and every week, and that's why if you're not subscribed to, of course, Living Split Screen, you're doing it all wrong. But Daniel McGee, how hot is it in Texas? And good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, it's like, let's see, what was it? Last night when I went to the gym, it was like 44. So that's
cold for you guys, isn't it?
That's pretty cold. I think. Hold on, let me see.
That's pretty cold comparatively.
Right now it is.
Like I say in Florida, anything under 60.
So
anything.
Yeah, it's 64 right now, so it's freezing, obviously. And
yeah, it was like
we're out here,
so that's pretty cold for you.
We're out here chilled. What you guys go outside and your eyelashes freeze at this point? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, we woke up this morning to 30 degrees here in New Rochelle, New York, which is not cold enough for me. I like it specifically colder. Cold. And I want snow. I want blizzard like I want to come out and be like, man, I can't see the car. That's what I'm talking about. And,
Boom says, I want blizzard-like conditions.
You want the snow?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
That's funny.
It's different.
Man, so it's good. It's good to have you here, Daniel. We're going to get into some obviously some pointed conversation regarding what Phil Spencer had to say on third party. Obviously, that put a little bit of a snafu into IGN's original story, which of course you would think with the updated information, they would update that, like, hey, listen, Phil Spencer, he cleared it up. No third party. Nope. Nope and nope. You know what they went to, folks? And we're not going to talk about it, but I have to make mention of it because it's part of my pointed opinion. Instead of saying, like, hey, here's a rebuttal, they're not going third party. They talk about the interview and how gamers are still having want change to come to the achievements on Xbox. Very disappointing, but you know what? They are who we thought they were. And speaking of who he is, one of the best voices in the business, Infinite Umbra. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling all right. I think I'm getting over the little bit of COVID that I hit the head the past week. So
you had COVID, huh?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm guessing that's what it was. But it's
okay. So you didn't actually take a test or anything.
I didn't take a test. Yeah,
okay.
I just kept myself covered up when I was around other folks and such, and stayed away from everybody really.
Okay.
But I could tell just by the symptoms I've had, it was probably more than likely that. So I've had it now. That would be the second time, and it affected the vocals. I couldn't actually hit certain notes and things like that I wanted to hit, so I had to cancel meetings with the band and everything, man. So
oh wow, dude, that's awful.
It's getting back though. But oh no, man, I'm excited to be here. Glad for our brother Steel Rain to join us today. We played some Halo the other day, actually. Steel Rain and myself and a group of fellas. Yeah, we were all in fear of Jasper, apparently, just running around destroying all of us. It was so funny because Retri was
Jasper the Terrible, huh?
Retri attacked Jasper at one point inadvertently, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to attack you."
That actually sounds like you do a good Retri impression because that sounds just like him.
It was so funny. I got killed laughing because I couldn't move, but no, it was fun. Excited to be here to talk about the news today. I mean, GTA, we got Halo news that got me pumped and excited. I'm geeking out over there. I feel like I don't think there's enough excitement over the Halo news to me, But then I'm a Halo stan, so I guess
I'm a Halo stan as well. I'm not an apologist. I called 343 out many times before that they deserve the calling out. We have to look. Let me just say this regarding Halo. I know that for some people, Umbra, it's never going to be the yesteryear of Halo, Combat Evolved and Halo 2, Halo 3. But I got to tell you, man, even though a good friend, my brother, Kay Asante, is still holding harsh feelings for no additional single player content, which of course him and I roll in that. I'm a Halo single player guy. The truth of the matter is, though, Steel Rain, Daniel, and of course Umbra, Halo has always been known for its multiplayer, and I gotta tell you, Season 5 is by far one of the best Halo anything in years. And this new update for Firefight, which is PvE, I haven't played it.
It's gonna be dope.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be effing amazing.
You enjoy it, Bones.
Today, right?
Yeah, today.
Yes, it comes out probably within the hour. Actually,
I think it comes out by 1. I think it's 1 p.m.
Yeah, they do those
on
weird.
The East Coast.
Yeah, it's weird. To jump on before I hit the bed, then. But I'm excited for it. And you're right. I think since season 4, actually, season 3 was decent, but season 4 and now
was the turnaround.
It was a clear turnaround, and it was right after Pierre got there too. Like you can see that his work and the people under him, they started getting things together. So that's really good. But like you and Kay, I do love the campaign. So I would love for them to do something with that. I hope they don't just abandon that and stick with we're only going to do multiplayer because
I think they know it's important. I think that when you look at franchises like Gears, you look at franchises at like in Halo, and some of their other bigger franchises, they are able to live in both worlds where you can get a stout storytelling experience, and you can also get amazing, unparalleled, multiplayer. What I think and what I hope it happens is that whatever they're working on right now for Halo in the Unreal Engine 5, which of course is your bread and butter, is going to be based on the story, the single player aspect. And I don't care what story they tell. I've said this actually as soon as yesterday's show. I would really appreciate a smaller Hive Busters type of a story where you get 12, 14 hours of a Halo story. And I've said this before, and I think you even agree with me. I would love to see something outside of Chief.
Oh yeah,
Halo
absolutely.
Infinite. We don't know what happened to Locke. We don't know what
Yeah.
happened to Team Osiris and Buck and the rest of them.
Mhm.
It would be pretty dope if we got that kind of a story where maybe it wasn't a 40-hour campaign. Maybe it's 14 hours.
They could
Maybe
easily
it's
do like an
prologue.
ODST kind of spinoff, right? Because,
Absolutely,
yeah,
yeah.
because ODST was taking place as Halo 3 took place at a point.
Yes.
So they can absolutely do the same here. And I mean, they can experiment. I think that's the problem a little bit with Halo is that it's stuck in a kind of, oh, we have to do it this way. ODST was really that kind of divergent thing where they, put the jazz in there and they let us play with other characters outside of Spartans. I think going into that, and they can really experiment and go into a third person view. And, we talked about that having a more actiony Vanquish style kind of, let these Spartans be Spartans in a different way. And Fire Team Osiris is kind of that new breed because they're Spartan 4. So I think that'll be really cool to see that like that personally. But yeah, absolutely. I love what the direction they're going. I just wish that they would really reconsider not giving us, campaign DLC and really change their mind on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, folks, as you see on the screen, we have the footage of Grand Theft Auto, the trailer, the official one, which I will not play with the music because I will get a strike for sure. So you're going to have to watch it with the sound off because I'm not trying to get a strike on YouTube. But before we get there, I do want to shout out our very good friend, the Black Viking. Folks, if you don't know who he is, he has exploded on the scene, not only in this particular chat, but on Twitter as someone that you should be following. And the reason why I bring him up today is because he is launching his first podcast, and episode 1 happens today at 8 p.m. Now, of course, a part of this trio is himself, which of course is the Black Viking. And you can follow him on Twitter at the Black Viking 3. You also have the Black Skellington as well as Supernova Gaming. And the name of the podcast, folks, is the Longhouse Podcast. And they have 2 special guests, folks. I think we both know. I think I know personally both of them, and I think you know them as well. Game Pass Daily, which of course is Retry, as well as Fuzzy Belvedere. Members,
2 of our brothers.
Yeah, 2 very good brothers. So yeah, nice. I'm going to drop the link for you in the chat right now.
Shout out to Black and the crew, and good luck to you guys.
Yes, absolutely. Good luck. So get out over there and sub their channel and check out their first podcast. If you go to YouTube, they don't have any content. This is going to be the first piece of content, and of course, this community is welcoming, engaging, and inclusive, not exclusive like some other places around the platforms. But we won't mention those names live on the air. But yeah, definitely go check them out. But listen, let's play this unbelievable, again, folks, explicit pictures. So if you don't watch with the kids, we're not gonna do music because, like I said, it is what it is. But check it out. Here we go. I played it so bad, but that music is just, oh my God, it's.
By the way, speaking of the music, did you all expect something else? I did. I expected maybe or something.
It's, you know what? I hate to say this. It actually is what I expected. It's weird. It's not what I would have expected from a GTA, and that's just because they just do things very strange. This game looks amazing. I like someone said they're waiting for a collector's edition. Yeah, me too. I definitely want a collector's edition. I will. That is a scene right there, man. And that.
Hey, that's Florida. That's Florida, man. That's hey.
Is that how it is out there still?
Actually, not all the time. Not all the time.
Okay, I was about to say, brother, I got to plan a trip out there so you can show me around. It's like
Miami is definitely different for sure. South Florida is definitely different.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to Kay Asante this morning. He's like, that is probably the closest representation to real life Florida
It
I've
looks
ever
dope.
seen.
That's what gets. I think that's what gets me when I was watching the trailer. I think that was what was getting me the most, outside of of course, the graphical leap. It does look much different compared to Grand Theft Auto 5, as it should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the relation of it kind of feeling like it kind of feels like it's my backyard. Although I'm not in South Florida, I'm more in the northern part of Florida, more closer to Tallahassee. But it's like, still the representation matters, and then you can feel the whole Bonnie and Clyde thing going on. Both
Yes.
characters are seemingly
Absolutely.
attractive looking characters, especially the female character in this one.
So great.
Um,
I'm sorry.
because in the previous GTA 5, the only character that I really cared about was Franklin, because he seemed more relative to me, at least, right? The other characters were cool, but it's like I never cared about the story in any Grand Theft Auto, right? It was always let's get in here.
Same.
Outside of San Andreas. San Andreas was dope. But even in that one, it was more like, oh, let me put my cheats in so I can get the jet, so I can take off, cause mayhem, get 5 stars, run around for 2 hours, and then boom, I'm done. I will say that 5 improved on that and made me feel like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's bombastic. There's multiple layers to this story. This rich dude, he's got messed up family, like everybody's all over the place. And then you go into this one, and them taking a whole different kind of, I want to, not necessarily different, because it still seems like it's going to be over the top, but it seems like it's going to be more of a refined story. When you only have 2 characters and you think about that Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing, that's like a classic kind of story. And I'm really interested to see what Rockstar's take is that on that's going to be, especially since they've seemingly cared more about the story and everything.
So wait, what about CJ? You didn't care for CJ?
CJ was all right. I mean, he was cool. He was the main thing that I liked about CJ overall, was San Andreas overall, was just what you could do with your character. It was, if you felt like you were in that world, right? When you went down the grocery with, like, all of it just felt really intuitive, which it was kind of upsetting when they went to like 4 and then 5, where none of that really carried over. And I was like, damn, y'all really had something here that was special. But again, of course, they probably sacrificed a lot of that to go the online route, which they did with 5. So it's like, yeah, see, I mean, CJ was cool, but I don't have a favorite GTA character. I've always enjoyed GTA just for it being GTA, right? So at least for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good stuff. Listen, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this finish playing out. You can watch it a third time. We'll throw some other footage up there. But I do want to get into this, and I'll go first to Grand Theft Umbra, who's in the chat, by the way. Listen, dude, this is, I'm going to say this. You know, this is going to be a big game. I think one of the things that there were actually people out there that thought that this was going to somehow be either an exclusive or timed exclusive for PlayStation. Like, I never thought that for a second. Sony does not have that kind of money. I don't even think they have the money for the marketing rights. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I just don't.
I think that's out of the door for sure.
Yeah, I do. I now, and again, I just want this to be completely clear. I don't know if specifically Rockstar actually needs anyone for this, to be honest with you, but I'm sure that they will take a bag of money. So I actually am gonna give questions to the chat as well as the panel, and it's kind of going to be like a smorgasbord of thoughts and theories. You know, if there's one thing that we have learned, specifically like this generation, I'm just using this generation as a pointed part of the conversation. You take a game like Hogwarts, for instance. Now, Hogwarts is a contentious game for a lot of people. It is like, it's still neck and neck for me for Game of the Year. And I know that the Black Harry Potter, who's in the chat, is probably loving that I said that. I am about 80% done with the game. I'm close to finishing it. I'm going to finish that game. It's just been nothing short of amazing.
I loved it. I loved it. It was still one of my Game of the Year contenders.
Yeah, 100% for me as well. I'm mesmerized by how beautiful the world is and how actual magical it seems, right? But the reason why I bring up Hogwarts isn't for the contention. It's because Sony had marketing on this game and they slapped it on their box. And there were a lot of people, especially in the casual community, that honestly, truly thought that this was a PlayStation exclusive and went out and bought a PS5 because of that. Now, where am I taking this? Well, I'm a context kind of a guy. Now, I'm not a marketing manager. I don't have a degree. I got some college folks, but I think I roll with common sense when it comes to business. And even though I couldn't equate a dollar value of what the marketing would cost on this, I can assure you that Sony or SIE could not afford it. There's just no way. There's just no way that they can. There's no way that they can afford it. Microsoft. I'm not saying that because they are a $1 trillion company that they're going to throw money into the fire and just burn it. But this is one of those instances, Umbra. And I'm going to paint the picture for the people. Okay, I don't know what game is going to be Xbox's biggest first party in 2025. I'm assuming that it's going to be Fable, right? That's just my hot take on it. It's going to be Fable. The second biggest game that they now own, the IP that they own, is going to potentially be a new Call of Duty, right? Now, just imagine if you're trying to sell people on your brand, and somehow on a billboard, on a commercial, on your Series X or your Series S boxes, there's a picture of the new Call of Duty, the picture of Fable, and you can get the marketing for Grand Theft Auto and you throw it on there. I'm here to tell you that would logistically choke Sony. I'm not saying they would go out of business, but it would put them in their place, potentially third place. And if there was one marketing deal that Phil Spencer and company, in my personal opinion, absolutely need to get, it's this game right here. Just look at the numbers. The numbers are ridiculous. Now, as a matter of fact, let me tell you how ridiculous, because I sent it. Where is it here? Benji Sales, a great friend of the community. If you're not following Benji, he's a numbers guy. We love Benji, right? He put out a tweet, as he normally does. And just for, kind of throw the numbers out there. Since yesterday, gentlemen, one day, Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer has surpassed 40 million views and has 5.6 million likes on YouTube.
Oh, by the way, Boom, just a update real quick. It's at 75 million views with 7.9 million likes right now.
Well, thank you, Steel Rain,
Good God.
for update. I mean, so see what I'm saying, folks?
Oh, God.
This is an opportunity. You've heard the terminology, Umbra. Put the boot on the neck, right? Like take that big old Tim and throw it on someone's neck. And I think that Microsoft is already standing on Sony with what they have coming in first party, what they have coming through engagement on PC and mobile. But you add Grand Theft Auto to an already ridiculous list that includes Call of Duty and potentially Fable in 2025. And that's just the tip of the spear.
That's wild.
You are talking domination unlike anything. I don't care if it costs Microsoft $1 billion to get marketing. You go to Amy Hood with a plan, and you don't even have to give me the credit. I have given Microsoft $1 million ideas, and I am still living in an apartment. Nobody has bought me a house yet. Let's talk about it, Umbra.
Yeah, for me, Boom, the way I look at that is because I see some people like say that Microsoft, I don't think they could afford it, Sony can afford it. Microsoft can absolutely afford it.
Well, yeah, if anybody could.
Oh yeah, but I would say though, if they go after them for marketing and they pay like, let's say, upwards of $1 billion, you're gonna have to give me some expansions or something. Like, you remember, I don't know if you all remember, but I think it was GTA 4 had the Ballad of Gay Tony.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal DLC,
that was exclusive,
dude.
I think,
Phenomenal.
to Xbox.
Yeah, it was. It sure was.
That's the stuff they would have to do for me. Much like Sony gets its exclusive, like, whatever it is, like they did with Hogwarts, for instance, a little dark mission and whatever it was, and the whatever. That's what I would want if I'm Microsoft. Give me something very specific that you can only get on this platform. If I'm giving you that amount of money,
Mhm.
Gonna have to do something like that. And I think I don't think it'll be that much, by the way. I don't think marketing will be in the billions. I just don't think that. I think Grand Theft Auto is clearly you know, a game of the generation, monumentous. It's definitely got its own weight that you're gonna have to pay. I don't know if it'll be in the billion range. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because if they did that, who could pay it, right? Only Microsoft. But
It'll be timed too, right? I would
yeah.
think timed marketing.
Absolutely. So I feel like it'll be in the hundreds of millions for the marketing, if anything. But if Microsoft was really on it, I mean, get that and try to get, you know, some exclusivity, get something
Mhm.
specifically exclusive to the Xbox brand. And like they did with the Ballad of Gay Tony, grab something, an expansion that is exclusive to Xbox. And that would go far enough. I mean, because we already talked about the thought of them bringing it to Game Pass. Now that
That would
that would
be
be multiples of billions, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. Mhm.
yeah,
That'll
so I
be
mean, if you
different.
can get something with the marketing and, you know, / expansion, that in my opinion would be the smartest move. As far as the trailer, I said this earlier. I saw some Tom Petty fans in the chat there. Shout out to our brother Luke Steele. I saw you in there, and you know, shout out to everybody. I see you, Sarge. What's up? I see you, HTK. But you know, listen, I like Tom Petty. I got respect for Tom Petty. All love, but I see Grand Theft Auto and I see Vice City.
That's the last thing that you're
That's the
thinking of
last thing.
is a Tom Petty led
Exactly.
song. Yeah, and I love Tom Petty,
Immediately.
dude. That
Yeah,
guy's amazing. Yeah.
exactly. And immediately, like, and I'm sure you could agree, Rain. You're there. Like one of
Oh,
the first
bro.
thoughts you would probably think is Phil Collins because it's associated with Miami. You would think of maybe Pitbull or something like that. You know what I mean? Something that's associated with Miami.
Yeah.
Rick Ross, even. I would expect something.
I would have, you know what I honestly
yeah.
would have thought? Some reggaeton would have been real
I
nice.
could see that too.
That would
You know,
have been
I
nice
mean,
little feel. I think they went with something that was more recognizable to a lot of people, or they may have heard before from their moms, or maybe they've heard on a playlist or whatever the case. That's the thing that GTA is also having to play with this time around too, is because we've gotten a lot of people have stepped away from GTA, right? One of the Hauser brothers stepped away. So we've had questions about where this story is going to go. And I am very interested on how far GTA is going to remain we will still go over the top, and there's nothing that you're going to say to us about it because it's GTA, right? And I hope they play into it more, but and this gets into a whole different conversation because it is in Florida, and they also are saying they're going to use a majority of Florida too in this game. I don't know how that's going to work, but there's a lot of cultural things that are happening in this game that traditionally haven't been always the greatest. So I want to see how that's going to be represented in here. There's just a lot of opening questions outside of the quality of the game itself that I have, along with like the online and whatnot, because that's what's going to carry the game. And what I care for the most, character create and all that great stuff. But yeah, man, it's so.
Yeah, so I see people like, it's Tom Petty. He's from Florida, so I guess that's why. Still, though, I don't hear Florida.
It could have been Tom Petty.
Yeah. Let's just think when you associate Miami, because this is set in Vice City, which is clearly an inspiration of Miami. So to me, I would go with something that speaks specifically to that thing. Love again to Tom Petty. I just don't think that the trailer didn't. It's only the first trailer, but I didn't think it wowed me if I'm talking about music compared to Skeletons, for instance, as I always shout out Skeletons for GTA 5 by Stevie Wonder. That really clearly sounded.
That one hit. I went back and watched it. It still hit.
It still hits, you see. So I just feel like Phil Collins, you can't get better than that mixing that with Miami. We just know how it goes. Miami Vice set that tone for us. There's no getting away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
they
iconic.
Gotta have it.
Yeah.
Does anyone know if GTA 6 takes place like back in time, or is it 2023?
No, it's supposed to be more current. It's supposed to be more current from what I've seen. Yeah,
it looks modern to me.
I mean, I was just looking at cars and stuff, and for some reason, I guess because I was thinking Miami Vice, I was like, maybe it's Maybe it's further back, but no.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of the '80s cars still are relevant, especially in that scene in Florida. So I
yeah.
think that's a
Cars
lot of the
from the
muscle
major
cars and
down there.
stuff.
Oh, the Ferrari.
Yeah.
That did look like an older, yeah, it did look
older
like
No, it
Ferrari
was.
for
It,
sure.
it was an
Yeah.
older Ferrari, but
Yeah.
that's what they're driving down there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
you
just
you can look at them
don't-
twerking though. That's kind of how it kind
yeah,
of
that's modern. That's not something.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
of course,
yeah,
there was a lot of shaking back in the day too.
Uh,
Don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but
true.
because people like to do that.
Uncle
Hey,
Luke, yeah,
it's been shaking
true.
for a while.
Yeah.
But
Oh
but
my
nah,
God,
what
I
she was
love
doing
it.
on top of that car, nah, that's definitely some recent.
You know what's funny? I was talking to Kay Asante, and I was like, "Hey, listen, I saw a video that someone posted of a woman doing that in Florida," and I'm like, "Look, they're
Yeah,
already copying."
what
And
we
he
got
goes,
from.
"No, boom, you got it wrong. Actually, that happened, and Rockstar copied it,
Yep.
Yeah.
which
It's a
I
thing.
There's
did not
a
know
lot
that."
of that. Yeah, most of that
Um,
trailer was stuff that actually happened in Florida, like the lady with the hammers.
Yeah.
That was
Somebody
something that
Googled
actually
Florida
happened out
man
here.
and then just
Yep.
stuck a bunch of
Yeah.
TikToks
Yep,
in there.
Yeah.
That's
Dude running
great.
around butt naked. That happened too.
Um,
All of that.
You know,
That's funny.
I do want to bring Steel Raining because I have a theory I want to go with, and I kind of want to get your hot
Yeah.
take on it. But before I get to that, let me thank some of the super chats and the channel member stuff. First of all, Danny P says this after dropping a very generous $5 super chat. Fellow 53-year-old gamer, thank you for accepting friend request. Tool Zeppelin. I've been playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, loving it. Reminds
Nice.
me of
Good time.
12 years ago. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people are talking about some of the older Call of Duties that it reminiscent of. And of course, I accept your. I try to listen. I try to accept all friends' requests on, but it's. I get inundated between doing the show and Twitter and trying to do the Xbox. It's so I'm glad. It's my pleasure, brother, and thank you for listening and thank you for the generosity. We have B Martin 001. He has gifted folks 5 double barrel gaming subscriptions. That is amazing, brother. Thank you for the generosity. Another generous friend of the show who simply says boo, and that is Hitman, who's been a channel member for 3 months. Hitman, brother, thank you so much for the generosity and of course being here as always. Jonas the dad drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, I took a Starfield break and he's 4 hours into Power Wash Simulator, which a lot of people really enjoyed. I haven't played it, but it looks like it's fun. It's like a chill game. And speaking of gifting subscriptions, Highlander 001, who cannot be outdone, it drops a 5 additional because he's done that. I think he did it even yesterday. So Highlander 001, thank you for the generosity, brother. We truly appreciate it. So yeah, if you are one of the 10 new channel members, please thank these two gentlemen for their generosity. And of course, he drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says the trailer looks great, but many trailers look great. But the game, not so much. I need to see gameplay and what online will look like. Yeah, we're going to see that soon, I think. But okay, so
Man, after we saw it's so much expansion they've done with the online for 5. I'm pretty sure this is going to look pretty damn good. Already, you can kind of see some of the physics. It looks closer to like what Red Dead Redemption 2 did. So
yeah,
I expect it to look damn good.
Yeah, me too. I well, again, remember there's still 2 years worth of development. This is not coming out, and they haven't given a specific date in 2025. I think it's holiday for sure because it makes sense. But still, here's my thought and my theory. There are folks in the community that think that because PlayStation is the number one brand, they're number 7 in the world, recognized for popular brands, right? They are market leader currently by leaps and bounds. I don't necessarily think that is the only driving force. I'm going to say this. Zelnick, who's the head of 2K, obviously, and we know that Rockstar is owned by 2K, had some pretty choice words to say about how Sony really went out of their way to kind of gum up what they do in the gaming industry. And by doing so, he has now brought regulatory eyes to not just Microsoft, not just Sony, but all of gaming. And I know for a fact that Zelnick, who's a very good friend of Phil Spencer, came out in defense of the ABK deal, not once, but multiple times. I don't think Sony did themselves any favors in locking up the marketing rights on this. And I think ultimately the money is going to be the contributing factor because, well, this is a business. I don't think Sony can afford the marketing on this. I think that they just can't. They just can't. They're in turmoil right now internally with their personnel, with their direction. We're going to get into it. Thousands upon thousands of PlayStation gamers are permabanned. No one knows why. Sony's not answering. We're going to break that down. That story comes to us from Tom Warren of The Verge. But I think that if you look at how aggressive Microsoft has been in trying to regain a foothold in the industry, if you were Microsoft, do you make this deal?
No. If I'm Microsoft, no, I don't make the deal. Reason being, I don't think that the marketing deal is necessarily worth the money that I could spend in other places to have it on my platform. Why? Well, one, I'm not the hardware leader, and sure, more people would buy console hardware and everything for GTA 6. So not to be mistaken, but I think from my personal angle, if it were me in that position, I'd probably do like a month of Game Pass. I'd probably do something more strategic, something that could actually influence our numbers more in the short term. And probably I can get for a lower dollar amount at the same time, right? Because if I get people in the GTA for the price of Game Pass, we introduce shark cards that are in there. If I have online running day one, it also just depends on how Rockstar wants to run it. Because that's the other thing. This time around, and I think people are getting this confused. This isn't previous gen hardware that we're talking about where, oh, it needs to be on this specific box because, oh man, this is just the way the market is moving and all these great things. GTA has literally done something that most games don't do, and many games don't sell anywhere close to 200 million copies. Now, again, you could say there's a lot of dual copies being bought. How many times have you bought the game? It's been out since the end of the 360 generation. That doesn't matter. They've sold over the course of almost 3 generations. They've sold 100 million copies, and they're walking in with a position of power. So I think they're probably going to come more so to the table and say, hey, if you want to make these moves, if you want to be associated with us, because we could just release it everywhere and everybody gets the benefit, and we know people are going to buy the game, which is kind of why I'm personally adamant about the game releasing on PC also, because it's different. It's not back in the day where games were being made on a different architecture and now you got to port it over. No, it's already being made on PC, and arguably it was being made on PC then too, but differently. You still had other hardware that you'd use to specifically align yourself with certain console hardware. But I think making a move for Game Pass would be a better move just because they've done that already with GTA 5 previously. And I think that Rockstar and Microsoft at least have a decent enough relationship. Xbox, Phil, whoever you want to put in that conversation. I think they have a decent enough relationship to actually go and look at the hard numbers and say, hey, look, man, yo, that GTA looking real juicy. I'm seeing the numbers. Remember what it did for you in Game Pass when it dropped in there? How many more people bought shark cards? How many more people bought the game again because you were getting it for an additional 30% off because you were a Game Pass member, and whatever the case may be, right? I think that would just be a more impactful move. I think that would speak and cause the community to go more into into a tizzy, for lack of a better way to put it. And I think spaces will be on fire because it's like people wouldn't expect that. Hey, well, the amount of money it would cost. Now, this isn't a permanent thing like most games on Game Pass are, and even those aren't permanent. They feel that way though, in most cases. But yeah, that's the way that I would approach it. I mean, Rockstar's coming in with a heavy bag this time. They don't need to depend on anybody. I don't think that PlayStation has the cachet to walk in and say, look, we got all this hardware. How about you just cut a deal with us? I don't know if that works this time around because it is very different nowadays. But that's just me. Again, it could be worth it, but I think going the Game Pass route would be the marketing deal, if anything.
Dude, I probably if it dropped in the Game Pass at any point, even if it's for a month, it would be it costs a giant bag, but it would be engagement would be crazy, and not
Oh,
just
yeah,
engagement
yeah,
from people
yeah.
playing it, people talking about it. That would be a conversation that might break the internet. Honestly, it would probably. I thought the trailer was going to break the internet, and it wound up leaking early. And look what it's. You said it's 70 plus million views, and it's 24 hours
Yeah.
removed from it leaking. By the time this thing is done, it'll have 100 million reviews.
Insane.
I mean, views,
Views.
which is it's just crazy.
By the time
Uh,
we go live Thursday for the fix, I mean, I
it
imagine
could
it'll
very well
probably be
be,
close
which
to
is
200.
yeah. You listen. We're going to see numbers like unlike anything we've seen before, and because it's GTA, and this is why I think Microsoft has to get involved at some point doing something with this game, whether it is the actual marketing, whether it is a Game Pass deal or a connection of both. I don't know how much it would cost, but the engagement value, in my personal opinion, who does not have a marketing degree, Daniel McGee, would be worth its weight in gold. Let's get your hot take on this, brother. Where do you actually see the GTA marketing going? Or like I said earlier, does 2K actually need anyone to market? I mean, this game has been
No.
confirmed to be next gen only. It's coming to
Yeah,
PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. That's confirmed. It's not coming to PC. Um, this game is probably so. Just for context, when GTA 5 released on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, it made $800 million in a day, broke every record possible. Grand Theft Auto 6, well, just based on the engagement that we're seeing in the video and a still pic that launched last Friday, it's millions upon hundreds of millions of views.
Mhm.
This game, Daniel, is going to sell potentially 10, 15, 20 million in the first day. I think if there were more hours in the day than 24, it would keep selling. But we know that there are only 24 hours in a day. For you, where do you kind of feel that that should Microsoft drop a bag for this?
Yeah, sure, why not? I think maybe they've certainly got the money for it, so I don't see really any reason not to, I guess.
Right.
Other than the fact that like Grand Theft Auto, like they don't need any help with their marketing. Obviously, they dropped a trailer on a random Monday at that wasn't even the day that they said that they were going to drop it, and it's already at 76 million views. Like they're fine. Like Take Two doesn't need any help with this. They don't need nothing. I'm sure that they would take the money if somebody offers them enough for it. But like, yeah, I absolutely don't need anything. Like, Grand Theft Auto is going to be big no matter. They could say nothing else about it until it comes out and it'll still sell. So it really doesn't matter so much on the Take Two front. But yeah, I mean, why not? I don't think that it goes Game Pass, at least not day one. I think it'll go in there eventually, but I think it'll be like a year later or something. And then it'll just be like maybe they'll add a campaign to it whenever they launch online, which will probably be like a year later. I don't know. I could see that. I don't necessarily know that I would expect Microsoft to do that, but I don't know. May as well. Like, I really don't have anything else to say about it, to be honest with you. It's just one of those things where it's like Grand Theft Auto is going to stop the internet no matter what it does, no matter who does anything with it. So why not throw your horse in the race, I guess.
Well, I have some questions towards you guys. Now, see, for me, when I saw this, because just on general thoughts of the trailer itself, one of the first things I picked up on, and I'm not sure if you all did too, because one of the biggest worries I think most of us had, if we're being real, is if Rockstar will be influenced by today's politics and try to bend what they usually do and be more, as I hate to say the word, quote unquote woke, but and more PC. But from what we're seeing here, it looks like they didn't fall to that, which is when they have the agency to do that with being who they are. So one of the things I picked up on was how Lucia, looks like a feminine woman. And I'm not trying to be funny or anything. I'm just saying I know how a lot of politics play into the whole making.
She a baddie. Yeah, you can say she a
looked good
baddie.
to
They
me.
made sure she was a baddie.
She was thick and
I
everything.
I think the majority of people are like, yo, she's a good looking character.
I'm sure Danny saw her and was like, she thicker than a Snicker. I know that's what you thought, Danny. I know.
She almost
Just those words exactly.
It almost puts the male character kind of to shame. You're almost like, man, maybe they should have went a little harder with the dude, man.
Hey,
I don't know.
you know.
Yeah, I mean they're both really attractive characters. I do think they look really generic. You know what I mean?
Somewhat.
Like,
I kind of get
if you said,
I get you. I get you on that.
Like,
I think
especially
there's
the
a point.
guy, he just looks like
definitely-
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right
Yeah,
off the shelf.
definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a little disappointing. I'm sure you'll be able to customize it. So like, I'm sure it doesn't
Oh,
matter
yeah.
at all, really. But
True.
Tat him up,
the
all
version that they've chosen to show off in the trailer was like, yeah, that's just like some dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. That's
yeah.
how it felt.
Yeah, I mean, because there was that news report, right, where they were like, we're gonna have to tone down some of our stuff because it's not gonna fly in the modern day. And I still think that's probably true. Like, I don't think that we're gonna see like their with like the radio channels or whatever being just like as wild as they were. Because even some stuff that you go back in like GTA 5 or 4 and you listen to is like, yeah, a lot of this is just like racial stereotypes. It might be more fun to do something else.
But that's what I was speaking to. Like, how
Yeah.
much cultural appropriation are they going to put into this one?
Yeah.
Especially since you're diving into Florida and you're saying you're going to use more Florida, bro. I'll be the one to tell you, there's a lot of black folks here, man, and there's a lot of cultures you better get right. Like, you
Maybe
can't
they'll,
just like
a lot
show a
of
trailer like
Asians.
this.
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot, bro. Spanish. There's a lot of folks. There's a lot of culture here, bro.
So that's
like,
my thing, Rain. Let me ask you, because I saw you speaking of that in the comment section. I saw a few of the guys in the comments. They were like, "Oh, twerking was around back then, but twerking wasn't like it is. It's mainstream now. Twerking.
It wasn't called twerking, but
exactly
shaking butt, shaking butt, shaking butt.
Like, yeah, they had what they called rump shaking back then. With it, you know, but my thing is like, yeah, because I saw some people even online that were like, "Oh, this is going to set black people back 500 years," and I get it.
No, I don't think all that. Like,
I get it, right? But like, is it a thing where we want them to not address the reality of what it is? Because that's how they do. This is a reality. Like, there's not all black people that
right
to a certain sect. You know what I mean? I think it's specifically in Florida or more, you know, lively towns like that where people are a little more, as you put it, loose.
They have fun, man.
Yeah,
they have fun. They embrace the culture. It's about dance. It's about partying. It's about, you know, there's just a lot more to it. I know it's hard. Like, for a lot of people, it's going to be different seeing it, like, coming into this and to get a perspective. But I think that's what makes GTA great, because GTA has that, and why I think people have traditionally loved GTA is because they typically have played into those things at least pretty tastefully in most cases, right?
Yeah,
it's not just one part of one particular people. Like, it's like comedy back in the day. It's like, no matter who you were talking about, you knew it was a joke. This is comedy. We're here to have fun, laugh, and then kind of move forward and whatnot. So I get where you're coming from.
My biggest problem, honestly, with it in the old GTA games was not necessarily that it was like racist or whatever, but it was more that like they would use they would use like sort of stereotype as a way of like shorthanding a character instead of giving that character actual depth. So they'd be like, oh, who's Packy? He's the Irish one. Who's little Jacob? He's the Jamaican one, right? And like that would be their entire character for the most part.
Right.
So I really hope that they step up their writing, because I like the GTA games well enough, but I think their writing has always been like pretty mediocre. Especially when it comes to actual character work. I think the majority of their characters have been more caricature than actual like meaningful,
I can agree with
impactful
that.
characters.
I can agree with the caricature thing. Yeah, I do like their writing though. In some like Vice City. So this is actually a return to form for me. Vice City is my favorite in the series. So this is just a return back to that. But I do get what you mean, because there are a lot of, like you said, Jacob and all of, they are more caricatures than characters. I get you. Yeah.
So I hope that they step it up in terms of that. We got like one little glimmer of maybe story going on where she's like in bed with Jacob or whatever. Is his name also Jacob? Did I get that wrong?
Jason.
Sorry, she's in bed with Jason, and she's saying something about trust or something. I'm like, this feels like this is a very small clip of a bigger, more impactful scene, and so that's what I'm hoping for, because like the story of 5 and 4 really just never did anything for me. And I kind of need that to care about a game. So I hope that they do better with that.
So my thinking too is, and this is what I'm wondering too, because you got like you pointed out earlier, Steele, and some people in the chat. It's a Bonnie and Clyde-esque story, clearly,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
But now we see the strip club, we see all of the
GTA.
debauchery, which I'm happy to get into. But what happens now that if I'm in this dedicated Bonnie and Clyde situation with Lucia, or Lucia with Jason, how do I go about this strip club thing and finding me some street
A good time? A good time?
Yeah, some streetwalkers. Or how the old folks used to say it, some hussies. And have myself a good
He
time.
took it back. Oh,
You know,
man.
yeah,
I mean, maybe y'all like,
hustlers.
look, Umber, bro. Y'all are in it to win it, bro. Y'all are in it together. You know, y'all both are there to have a good time.
So you think it's
man,
open thing, huh?
I mean, if you want to call it that, some people just say this is just the side piece for the night,
Okay,
you know.
okay.
There
We're
may
gonna put
also be
label
a
on
third
it.
player
I got
character
you.
that we don't know about.
There
Like,
could be, but
there's that one shot where there's like cops
seems-
busting down the door. So I almost wonder if it's like a situation where you're playing as like Bonnie and Clyde, and then also like the detective trying to take him down or something. That'd be really cool, actually. But who knows?
different.
It's
some of
listen. I
those-
put it
I
to this
forgot
way.
about
This
that.
is
I'm
it's
sorry,
going to be a
bro. I was
no,
gonna say
sorry.
Pixel just made a good point. I forgot about that. Nico wasn't able to play with the strippers that way either. You're right. He had the moral kind of outlook. I forgot about that. It's a good point.
I did forget about that.
This is going to be a big game. I'm actually, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. It looks as good as it is. It's been in development for many
for a long
years.
time. They got money. They got the money.
I'm actually though surprised that it is not a 2024 release; that it is a 2025 release. I think it's almost guaranteed a holiday 2025. And speaking with Everborn Saga, he was like, "Well, can we guarantee it's not going to miss that date and come out in 2026?" Because Rockstar is notorious for their delays. So I put it this way: this was a great tease, if you will. They are going to have a second trailer. They did not specify when that trailer is going to drop, but look,
Well, at the end of the day, so I'm sure we'll get multiple.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna let this ferment, if you will, for a while and continue to garner a lot of big bucks out of YouTube for them. Because people are just.
I have a thought though. Tinfoil hattery that I borrowed from our brother Everborn for one quick second. Now, 2025, I didn't expect necessarily. I know that we had the rumors of it being quarter 2025, which was 2024, really. But if you look at when they were going to release this trailer before it was leaked, it said, it would be 12/23, right? But it said 12/5. That's the way I'm looking for it. So today, 12/5, right? So now we know what's coming out in 25. Do you think maybe that could mean January of 2025?
Maybe. I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, for me personally, I don't think they're worried about going up against anyone. Like, for instance, let's just say hypothetically, this was going up against Wolverine in 25.
It don't matter.
Yeah,
Wolverine would move.
Everybody is moving out of the way of GTA. There's no question about it.
It's one of the more accessible games for people.
I do think it's already been delayed though, right? Because we remember before we got that one store, like I think it was their financial reports or something. They were like, we're expecting to have a huge gangbuster game in 2024. Remember? And like that's clearly not happening. So I think that they may have internally delayed it already. You know what I mean?
The last thing I saw about a marketing call that they did, I think it was from, I forgot who's posting it, and I didn't think to like retweet it or anything. But I think they were saying that the marketing call, they said they were saying 2025, and he was saying that their year ends in March, so he was like predicting, maybe it's in March.
Okay.
So it could be
if it's like early 2025.
That's what it could be early, because they said fiscal 2025, which is the latter half of 2024. So maybe it could be early 2025. That's why I say maybe 125.
Maybe
that would make sense actually.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be dope. I
mean,
No, I was just gonna say it would be dope. I mean, it'd be good timing. Again, the GTA 5 came out in 2013, and you're talking about almost 12 years later. I mean, you do got to get a game out there at some point, instead of working on it the entire time, right? So, yeah, I mean, so y'all making good points, I think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it doesn't matter when. I'm just actually surprised that it is like, again, if you look at the potential minimum, right? Maximum would be around this time in 25. That would put it 2 years out. Potentially 13 or 14 months, January, February of 25. Still a long time from now. They still have a lot. I would imagine they still have a lot of work to do on it. I'm sure that they're going to be releasing GTA Online, day and date with GTA 6.
I hope.
It makes
I
sense.
wouldn't expect it, but I would hope so.
Yeah, well,
no, they're probably going to do a month delay like they did last time.
Maybe
they intentionally did it, but I also think it wasn't ready. Again, I don't know. I hope that it comes out at the same time, but the chances of it probably may end up being slim because they do want people, especially in today's era, where it's much more likely than it was even then, because they use the same excuse like, oh, well, people like to play online and we want you to experience the story, and we're going to delay it a month.
Potential. Yeah.
I'm wondering, are they going to angle for game of the year type of nod?
See, that's why I was thinking
they don't need to
the holiday. They don't need to. This game could release in any month, and it's going to be game of the year. There's just no doubt about it.
The only reason I wonder about that is because, for one, I thought they should have won in 2018. I thought that RDR2 was cheated personally. Not cheated. That's too harsh of a word, because God of War definitely did deserve its nod too. But I still think RDR2 was the better game that year. But
was that the year like Red Dead won everything and then God of War took the
that felt weird. D'Angelo on stage singing the Unshaken song and all of that, and they still gave it to God of War, which I just thought was like, nah. But hey, it is.
It's the Keeleys. I'm not surprised by this at all.
That when I saw that, I was like, and of course. But then, so my thinking is, I'm wondering if Rockstar is like, you know what? We're going to put this out. We're going to sell like gangbusters, and maybe we'll go for that game of the year with this, because the Grand Theft Auto story is never to the point that, like Danny was saying, is the story has never been so much so that people were like, this is the story that needs to catapult it into game of the year discussion.
Yeah.
RDR2 did. That was a solid, beautiful.
It did, but I think it's a good example of like what GTA Online has done for GTA 5 overall. Because if it didn't have the online component, it wouldn't have done the numbers that it did. Period. For sure. But that's what makes also kind of questionable, because it's like, then why didn't RDR2 online succeed? Because that was the thing that originally, I'd imagine, gave them the idea to do GTA Online, because the first Red Dead Redemption Online was like the thing people talked about. Like, man, this is really dope. I can run around with the homies, but before it got all infested with hackers and whatnot. But it's like, I don't know. It's definitely interesting looking at how everything is playing out.
Definitely. Why people, hold on. Somebody says it's Umbra Pony. What? Why?
What?
How did that come from?
Yeah, we weren't even talking about PlayStation.
He said it's
Umbra Pony. Matter of fact, we're going to be talking about PlayStation in a hot second, but I want to kind of move this along, and I want to talk about the third party narrative that many people in the community, even some of the bigger YouTubers, tried to run with. It was almost to me embarrassing that you would run with something so stupid, even though, I don't know, dollars to cents, they spent $80 billion in the course of 3 years between Bethesda and of course Activision Blizzard King. Sure, of course they're going third party. It only makes perfect sense. Just dumb. Unfortunately, we saw the likes of GameSpot and PC Mag and IGN. The usual suspects, if you will, running this narrative. And Phil Spencer came out and he did an interview with Windows Central. The Jez Corden article was phenomenal. They talked a lot about what Xbox as a platform is going to be doing. Obviously, Xbox Game Pass is at the core of all of their decision making, because they want that to be the platform that you play your games on. They also talked about having Xbox available everywhere, but they did confirm that, and this comes directly from head of Microsoft Gaming, Phil Spencer, they have no plans to bring Xbox Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo. And the reason why that is probably because neither of those platforms want a competing service that is better by leaps and bounds on their service, especially when you look at Sony. Sony's online is a joke, and it is they raised it $40 to $160. and did not include day and date. And outside of the occasional, Sea of Stars or Stray, you're not going to get day and date games. Heck, Spider-Man 2018 isn't even in the service. So yeah, why would they want Game Pass when you're getting all of this hot, AAA goodness that is going to be that started this year and continued into the coming years 24, 25, 26. 2024 is going to be ridiculous. 2025 equally. But I'm glad that Phil Spencer did this interview. I don't know if this narrative forced this impromptu reaching out to Windows Central, said let's get this, let's get the story straight here. Now this all initiated with Tim Stewart, who is of course the CFO of Xbox, and he said that in an investors meeting to investors potentially, that are going to invest in the brand, that they want Xbox on every screen possible. And he did mention PlayStation and Nintendo. He's a money guy. I mean, I thought for sure he spoke out of turn, saying that it would in fact go to these platforms. But I'm glad Phil Spencer cleared it up. Ryan, let's get your hot take on how the gaming community / media responded, and how many articles about PlayStation being the next place you're going to play Halo happened. I mean, to me, it's just ridiculous.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's funny how a lot of you have these different fan bases that say they don't want certain types of games, and then when certain things pop up, now they get excited for those games to come, right? Again, I always go back to the old adage of people didn't want armor and shields in their game, but everybody loves to play battle royales now. I wonder where that came from. Damn, Halo's good. Anyway, so for me, the whole third party thing is people's lack of either understanding or caring about the gaming industry in totality, right? And you don't have to care. If you think that things have to be the way that traditional consoles have been looked at in the past, then I mean, to each their own. I do believe in the digital future. I believe in the era of gaming that we are in right now, and I do think that Xbox, in totality, in their strategy, not just focusing on first party, because they obviously needed to expand it out, but making their games accessible in as many places as you can make them is and will end up being the right thing to do. I just can't fathom, because again, maybe I just don't sit in that old way of thinking for console hardware anymore, or just gaming overall. I don't see what the problem is with having multiple services or having multiple ways to access your content, no matter what ecosystem that you're in. I mean, you do it in everything else. I mean, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Crunchyroll, whatever subscription service that you're in, music. When it comes to gaming, I get that you don't like that people don't want something negative to happen or some form of value to be taken away, but that's already happened. We're at least 20 years too late. You already aren't getting hard books most of the time in your game cases. If you do get an actual game case, you're getting less content and less value for your dollar per se, and nothing has been adjusted for that outside of people telling you that games are more expensive. So it's like, yeah, I mean, Microsoft, Phil, again, reiterating that they are going to have exclusive games. I mean, again, I think a lot of what has happened over the last 2 weeks has just been an iteration of things that we have talked about over the last 3 years.
Yep.
This is all the way that he's talked about it, at least Phil Spencer, hasn't changed. You can tell that other people have gotten in line. I mean, you've seen what's happened with Sarah Bond. She's moved up. Obviously, things are working. We keep getting the reiteration of, hey, Game Pass makes money. I don't know how much more you could fight against that. And again, I'm always willing to have the conversation. That's why it's always interesting in traveling through different alleyways and listening to people, because everybody has their own perspective. And a lot of their perspective right now is driven by the majority leader, which is PlayStation, and outside of Nintendo, honestly. But obviously Nintendo's in a different bracket. But I think it's just people need content. People need something to talk about. As much as they hate Xbox, they love talking about it. And as much as people that hate PlayStation, they love talking about it. But Xbox is always going to get that more of the brunt of it and more of that. Oh yeah, man, they're just making more moves to show you that they're going to get out of the gaming industry in 2027. They're going to buy everything and then magically shut everything down, and all your games are going to be gone. You're never going to have access again. Doom and gloom. You guys don't see the bigger picture. Macroeconomics. We need to force all these big words together so that I lose who I am as a gamer. Anyway, but yeah, man. So it's again, third party or not, they're iterating. The first party is still a thing for them. Halo's not going to PlayStation. But in the case that PlayStation or Nintendo ever said, hey, Microsoft, would you be willing to put that on our platform? I do want people to know that's not Microsoft coming to the table and at a weak angle. That's Microsoft coming to the table with their, lack of a better way to put it, balls on the table.
Yeah, dropping the meat right on the table.
They would have they would have the power in the conversation versus, well, you said no before. Why do you want it now?
Yeah.
And what value can you bring us? So we'll see. I mean, we got a lot to be expected. So
it is, and I can tell you this right now: the value proposition of what Xbox Game Pass currently is and what it will ultimately become is going to be a tale of two different conversations. Now, depending on who you are, and again, this is just my opinion, Umbra. I think that 2023 has been an absolute astounding year for Xbox first party, but more importantly, it has been a ridiculous plethora of games in a service that just continues to get better. And yes, it did go up $2. It went from $14.99 to $16.99 a month. But when you see something like, well, I don't know, The Remnant 1 and 2 just happened to pop in there on a Friday afternoon. Hey, gamers, here's Remnant 2. And some people, and I think it was Wednesday, it was because we were doing prime time, we had Gaming Forte on with us. It's his game of the year. So that's how powerful of a game that is. And that's in Xbox Game Pass. And when you consider indie, second party, third party, and of course, first party games, well, I mean, it is ridiculous. So Umbra, I posed a question to you. Are you glad that Phil Spencer kind of just, put it out there and calm some Xbox community fears of them going third party, but more importantly, closing down the narrative that was running rampant, which by the way, by the gaming media, when the community does this, Umbra, you're like, well, X, content creator, he does this for engagement.
Par for the course, right?
Yeah, it's par for the course. But when the gaming media does it, it's almost embarrassing. And well, they all say you can't spell ignorant without IGN. They were one of the first ones to run an article. And again, that's par for the course. But I'm glad that Phil shot it down.
Yeah, no, I'm glad too. It was just another Hooven plot. I mean, it's what I
hooligans once again.
Once again, they strike again. It is what it is. They have a plan, and they always try to take down Xbox with something. It is like when I saw it, and I didn't really feed into the whole thing because I knew it was stupid. I knew it wasn't real. The whole debate about it was manufactured. So it didn't really, like when I saw him say that, it was just a reiteration of what he had already said. Really, I mean, people took it and ran with Stewart's words and were like, "Oh, see, the CFO said this." Yeah, he answers to Phil though.
Yeah, he does.
Phil dictates what's going to happen there, not him. And Phil has already assured us that's not what their aim is. So he reiterated it and said, and said that we have no plans to bring Xbox Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo. Now, that's not to say, of course, if PlayStation decided to acquiesce and say, yes, bring it here, that Phil's going to be like, no, I told our supporters that we wouldn't do that. Of course they would. Of course. It's a matter of both not wanting it there, right? Or at least specifically Sony not wanting it there. Because it's really a W for Microsoft in that equation. I mean, Sony gets gains too, don't get me wrong, but clearly that's a W for Microsoft if that happens. So, and it'll probably be select games and such, but it's not going to happen for the reason of it is a win for Microsoft. So Sony is not going to help them dominate them. So that's why it won't ever really possibly happen. Now, Nintendo, I can see happening. Nintendo, I can see it happening depending on their hardware. And we're hearing rumors of their Switch 2, whatever. So I can see that possibly happening, like a select few games. They already got some there. I can see certain other ones being added there. They all, of course, they want to continue on with Call of Duty.
I would love to see something like Sea of Thieves and Grounded potentially launched on Switch too. Those are fantastic games.
I think, I mean, I was already shocked to see Sea of Thieves to have such a resurgence as it did in general. When you saw how it was selling on Steam, I was stunned by that. I did not know that was going to happen and expect that. But like, like stuff like that and Grounded, I think that would be perfect for that community. I think they would definitely embrace that. It fits when they're aesthetic too in some ways. It's rare, so it's reuniting them with at least with Sea of Thieves, and of course you got Obsidian, of course, with the Grounded. I think it's something, and I enjoy Grounded. I put a good amount of, I didn't put in a Colt Eastwood hours, but I put in some good time into it and ran away for my life from those spiders while my buddies got ate up. I told them watch out now. See, I'm black. I don't play all. I see the bushes and tree and I see the leaves moving. I'm sorry. I told him Pete, like Jedi Knight Pete and all them, like, oh, come on, bro, we're gonna go over here and get. I'm like, nah, those bushes.
Oh my god,
those they look suspicious. Moving. I'm gonna stay over here. You go.
My investigate. That's my Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Oh my goodness,
and they didn't listen. They got ate up by the spider. That's that's on you. I told you. But
I warned you. I gave you heads up.
You think I'm coming over there to save you? Nah. That
fam.
Or whatever it is, got you. That's it. But no, I think it would work well on that platform for sure. But yeah, like I said, it was just a narrative born out of I don't know. I don't even want to say necessarily jealousy or hate. Well, hate for sure.
Hate.
It's definitely hate. Because they haven't really had. Let's just be real. Our Hoove brothers haven't really had anything first party this year. All they've had is Spider-Man, really. And you might what else did they have? I think the VR Horizon game. Like nobody really played that. And
what?
Nobody knew.
Yeah. Well, and I guess technically MLB The Show, but that also launched on.
There was a lot of first-party games, guys. All the PlayStation VR 2 games that released, those should be all considered as Game of the Year. They released on PlayStation. I don't get why you guys leave these out as first-party exclusives.
But being real, still, nobody really cared about VR like that. If those things would have sold well, they would have been touting those sales left and right. You know that.
No
like
way.
Sony does not run gun shy when they do well. They like, oh, we sold this much. They'll tell you they didn't do that for that. So I know
they did introduce a best AR VR category to the Keeleys the same year that VR became a thing for them. So.
What a coincidence! I know they're going to have the whole remake thing introduced right in time for The Last of Us, aren't they?
Well, no, they already did that for best adaptation. So
did they? Okay,
yeah. That's true. That is true. That is a new category. Well, let's see if that category comes back for Halo Season 2 and that Fallout show, which looks dope.
Fallout show looks really good.
We'll see. Listen, you're making a lot of great points, Umbra, as you always do.
Thank you.
It's the disingenuous nature of the gaming community, and of course more specifically the gaming journalists, and I use the term loosely. That is disappointing. I don't use the word upsetting because I don't get upset with it. I'm like, oh well, that's typical. They want clicks, so dump on Xbox. That'll do it. That's fine. It's disappointing. Listen, Daniel, before we bring you in, brother, I want to just catch up on these super chats. Now we have Highlander 001 who drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says any game coming out in 2025 will be eclipsed by GTA. Oh, there's just no doubt about that. Michael Mooney, generous friend from the other side of the pond, he drops a $10 super chat and says Take-Two's boss was targeting fiscal year 2025 for GTA 6. That ends March 2025. If Microsoft got marketing rights, should they do an Xbox Series X and S specific refresh to run GTA better, launching with the game? Interesting question. I mean, Phil has been pretty
Get ready for next gen.
yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that their kind of heels are in the sand, so to speak, about doing a mid-gen refresh because and you know why I don't think they need it? Because like Larian Studios, right? Obviously makers of Baldur's Gate 3, they are a prime example of taking the time to learn the Series S, and because they did so many things with that, the potato as it's known, it's now going to make the PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X versions better. So
Oh, so
Yeah,
we
I
need
think it
to
was
praise the
30%
Series S
better.
now.
30% better. Yeah, 30%
All hail the
better.
Series S.
Well,
The
apparently
potato.
the Baldur's Gate, like especially in the later acts, starts really grinding in terms of performance. And it was actually the series having to make it work for the Series S. They were able to make those sections like more playable. Not that anyone who reviewed that game actually got to Act 3 to find out about that. But, that's fine.
Don't worry about that.
Right.
No, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they need it. I think that there are some undiscovered ways of making games look and run better on the Series X and S, and Larian Studios has led the way in that. So I think that what Microsoft is currently doing, and this is just a hot take. I don't have any connections at Microsoft who told me this. This is just a thought and a theory. I personally think the reason why you're not going to get a mid-gen refresh is because Xbox is going to launch the next console, which I believe to be a hybrid of sorts, where it's going to be a dockable and it is going to be a handheld. That's again, no tea here. I don't have any hot, behind the scenes information. It's just my thought, and I think they're going to launch before the PS6, at least by a year, maybe more. But we'll see. We'll see what Sony is, and right now we're going to get into Sony in a second because man, we've been talking about them stepping on rakes. Well, they stepped in it all right once again because even though we as of this show we've had no response from PlayStation, thousands upon thousands of people have been permabanned out of their accounts, and well, no one knows why. I got the Tom Warren story queued and ready to go. But let me continue with these super chats and then we'll get Daniel's final opinion. Bold Alpha Wolfpack, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, I think Umbra is onto something with GTA 5. Onto something. GTA 5 sold 190 million units since 2013. Some exclusivity around GTA 6 could turn them into a market leader in the next 5 to 7 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. It's that's why I think that, I mean, you spend that kind of money, maybe you do get the first DLC locked up for a year.
Maybe.
You pull a Sony. Why not?
I could see Sarah maybe doing that. I don't think Phil would do that.
No, but see, again, you're absolutely correct. Sarah's a shark. Let's call a spade a spade. Anyone see her on the stand? She's a great white, and she is now the president of Xbox. And I think a lot of the decisions that Phil made in prior years regarding something like this are now going to be Sarah Bond's decision. And I think that she sees what's going on, and sometimes in order to take first place, you gotta race aggressive. Sometimes you don't have to draft. Sometimes you got to take that shot where you're either going to go into the wall or you're going to pass them. And I think Microsoft has so many bullets in the chamber that they could in fact do it and take a shot like this. And plus, more importantly, they have Microsoft's backing. They have Satya Nadala's backing. He's all in on gaming, and that is the head dude. So we'll see.
I only wonder, speaking of that, is since they spent so much with the ABK and everything, 80 billion total, whatever plus.
Keep spending, brother. You want first place, you got to spend.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering though, would it be the case that they're like, that's enough for now? I don't know.
Nope.
You think so?
The board right after Bethesda asked Phil Spencer who's next. Right after the ABK deal closed, Satya Nadella says we're all in on gaming. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I also think that there's a certain amount of probably fear that like if they don't move on certain things, that they'll be bought up by other people.
Yep.
So it's going to be sort of an arms race for a little while, and I definitely think that Xbox is going to make at least one or two more purchases. Well, I think they make a lot of small purchases and then like one more big purchase.
One big one.
I know
Yeah.
how I see it.
Yep.
The way Embracer is going, of the way of the Dodo, I think that
Crystal
studios-
Dynamics and
yeah.
Eidos Montreal, come on home.
Yeah, if
They
they
get
get
coming on home soon enough.
the
Come
only
on
things
in.
that I would even bother taking from Embracer would be those two and maybe Gearbox.
As
although
long as they
Gearbox
dump
hasn't
Randy
been making
Pitchford, I'm in
in a
for
while.
Gearbox. They got to dump that guy. Mr.
gotta
Magic
get rid
is
of him,
just
huh?
He's
not
got
a
to be
good-
close to retiring soon anyway, right? You
Yeah,
think?
he's Mr. Magic can go. Well, you know what he can go do. I'm not a fan of him at all, and certainly not the way he treats his employees.
start
He's
with an
as I don't know if he's as worse as Bobby Kotick, but he's like, when you talk about him, people get really upset. So yeah.
I don't think he's as bad as Bobby Kotick, but I do think he's more cringe than Bobby Kotick.
Oh, he's definitely more cringe. No doubt about
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
that.
So real quick,
I was gonna-
you know what?
I was going
I'll
to say,
come-
by the way, Boom, before you
Yeah.
do move on, about the whole Grand Theft Auto Series S thing and all of that at the Baldur's Gate. Did you see Tom Henderson's joke about the Series S earlier?
I did not. No.
He said, not sure why people are saying GTA 6 isn't launching on past generation consoles when they've clearly said it's launching on the Series S.
Boo.
Yeah, that's exactly what I gave him, a good boo gift. Like,
Yeah, that's worthy of a boo, but
Yeah.
you know,
He's a good dude,
it
though. I
is
know
a
I
next
hate
gen
him,
console.
but, yeah,
I think he's just being facetious. If I may be so bold, which you know, I mean, that's
Well, it's also not launching on PC because that's old hardware. So
right.
yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, real quick, I'll come to those other super chats in a hot second. Dan, let's get your hot take on this. What are your thoughts?
On what specifically? We kind of talked about a lot of stuff in the last little while. I forgot.
Well, I mean, regarding Phil Spencer clearing up the third party scenario.
Yeah. Sorry, I got distracted by all the super chats.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
No, yeah, it's one of those things where I think people are taking certain comments and like assuming that they apply for everything when they don't, because it's like they're talking about being on multiple screens, and that's going to be the case because going into, I mean, already, but especially next year, they're going to be two of the best selling games on their opponent's hardware, right? Because they're going to have Call of Duty and Minecraft. So to a certain extent, they are going to be a third party publisher, I guess. But the idea of people looking at that and being like, they're still trying to get Game Pass over there, they're going to put all their first party titles over there. It's like, no, they're not. Like, that's not how this works. You don't put that much money into boosting up your specific ecosystem to then throw your ecosystem away. Like, that's just not how this works. So I always thought the idea of that was really funny. Because people will look at these quotes that are specifically about Call of Duty or from Activision Blizzard people about Call of Duty, and they'll be like, see, this proves that they want to go third party. And it's like, okay, well, like Jim Ryan used to say stuff like that too. What does that say for you? Like, it's just ridiculous. If you are looking for a specific narrative, you can take any quote and make it pretend that it matches up to what you're trying to make it say. But the reality is a much different story in almost every scenario.
Yeah, I mean, really, I thought it was very simple logic, but you know, I guess that's not the way the media rolls, and it's perfectly fine. They are who we thought they were, honestly. So, look, gentlemen, we have 35 minutes left of the show, and even though we could have went into more depth about Phil Spencer's interview, because there's a lot to get into, specifically where he says, "I hear you, banjo fans." So Paris Lilly, who's probably listening, and hopefully he's listening, we're banjo bros. And again, I said I let people know that last year I had a chance to meet Phil, gentleman of a man, super inviting, very welcoming, and I could have asked and spoke to him about anything. And I won't specifically say what we talked about because that's private, but I did mention the one game. You say, boom, what are you gonna mention to Phil Spencer? You got his ear. And it's Banjo-Kazooie, folks. I'm not going to front. I am a nerd. I love platformers. I have ever since I was a kid. And I need a new Banjo-Kazooie in my life. Now, listen, we know Rare isn't going to do it, and it's fine. Rare, go do what you're going to do. But someone can do. Look, I don't even want a new one. Like, honestly, I love the way remakes have been handled in this generation, and towards the end of last generation. Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy 7, Resident Evils 3 and 4. I mean, there's been quite a few more remakes, but those are the ones that are kind of tip of the spear for me. And if you can take a team and give them the blueprint, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're simply just bringing the original Banjo-Kazooie into modern generation gameplay, visuals, and everything. I think you have something there. And I don't know how much that would cost because, well, I don't know how to make games. I know how to play them. I don't know how to make them. I think that there's something to be said about that. And, I hope that comes to fruition because Banjo-Kazooie 1 and 2, phenomenal. The one with the car parts that they did on the 360 is just, I tried to play it recently and I put about 4 or 5 hours into it, and it just wasn't a great Banjo-Kazooie game. So we'll see. Toys for Bob.
Been a long time too for that, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's one of those IPs that need to come back. Sure.
Yeah, 15 years right there.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm all for it. Phil did the standard "We hear you" line. He definitely said that. I would be all for it, man. I'm all for that just because I don't like that. That's one of the things, if I had to have a critique against Microsoft, is that they just let their IP kind of languish. Like, they really, with all the studios they have now, I don't think you have an excuse not to use that IP. I think a lot of the IP needs to be put out there.
Well, and they did talk about that too. He was like, I think his quote was something like, I think we've been doing an okay job as stewards of our IP, but we need to do better or something like that. I think they were specifically asking him about like the Activision stuff, but yeah, that was definitely something that he's interested in. God knows he wants his Hexen game, whether he says it or not.
Right.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. But listen, gentlemen, let's move on to the next topic. Again, I'm going to get to the super chats in momentarily, but we got to talk about this because I'm looking now. Normally, I don't know if you are fans of him. I am. I like Tom Warren of The Verge, but this story comes the way of Jay Peters of The Verge, and Tom Warren actually tweeted about it, which I have his Twitter account opened here. And he tweeted this. Let's see, when was this? This is 3:06 a.m. this morning. Wow, Tom, you got to get some sleep there, brother. He said PlayStation accounts are being permanently suspended, and no one knows why. Hundreds of PlayStation gamers report being locked out of their accounts and games on both the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 without any clear reasoning. Now, as The Verge has been known for, when in fact there is an update to a story, it is of course immediately posted. And I'm here. I loaded up. In fact, I even reloaded up the story, and there's been no update to it. So Sony is not talking about this. That, folks, is a problem. And the lead title for the story is "After Unexplained Bans, PlayStation users report their accounts have been restored." So there is an update to this. I just updated it as we spoke. So there you go, folks. Has been updated. Many PlayStation Network users reported Monday that their accounts were unexpectedly permanently suspended or banned. And as of Tuesday morning, many of the people who had received the message say now their accounts have been restored. Some of them have contacted customer service, while others did not. But nearly a day after the issues began, Sony hasn't commented publicly or responded to us about a wave of bans or the restorations that there followed. So let's break this down, because why? Okay, so it's great that people, and I checked. I told the guys in the green room, I said, you know what? Let me turn on my PS5 and let me check just in case. But this is just another rake for Sony's 2023 that continues to be what I believe probably the worst in the platform's history. And I'm dating it all the way back to like the hack of 2006.
Hmm.
And I really think, Steel Rain, there is a much bigger picture that people are not talking about. Now, the icing on this poop cake, if you will, from SIE in 2023 is going to come at the Game Awards. And I am curious to find out whether or not they're going to show up with anything in tow. Now, I've said this publicly. I don't expect Nintendo to have anything in tow because Nintendo is not going to announce their console, which they're still trying to sell their Switch ones this holiday. So they're not going to show you a Switch 2 December 7th. I don't think that there's anything that they need to show because whatever they're going to show in 2024, leading up to the release of what potentially is going to be the Switch 2, is going to be a new 3D Mario, maybe a new Animal Crossing. There's going to be something. There's going to be a couple of big bangers for that launch of that new system and new console. But that's going to come the way of Nintendo. They always do their own thing. We know Microsoft Steel is going to be at the Game Awards in a monster way, from what we're hearing.
Supposedly, yeah.
So yeah, that's the running rumor. Now, some people are even thinking it might be upwards of 4 trailers for their first party games, with Indiana Jones being potentially one of those. But Sony, there's been no word from Sony. Sony is leaderless. Sony is directionless. They've had one first party game, and granted, Spider-Man is pretty damn good. 8.5 out of 10 for me. I'm enjoying it. But it's only one first party game this year. Where is the talk going to be if Sony shows up with nothing in tow? I don't think they have anything ready. And that's because they changed directions after, well, Jim Ryan was, let go, fired, retired, whatever, however you want to spin it. They went from, hey, we got 12 gas games to we got 6. And oh yeah, by the way, factions, don't talk about it. Yeah, Bungie says no. If they show up at the Game Awards and outside of potentially maybe Death Stranding 2 being shown off, because Kojima is, he shows up to these things because he's very good friends with Jeff Keighley. Are we going to see the same concern from the gaming media and the fans? Like, hey, what is Sony doing?
No, we're not going to see the same concern at all. Maybe we will towards the beginning of the year, but I don't think we'll not. I think that Sony will end up showing something.
Okay.
Just because we haven't heard anything from Stellar Blade this year, really. I would like to see maybe like a combat update, just something to go ahead and tease that out. Again, I still do think that Sony wants to play ball. I know I will take something from my brother Pong. We were talking about it, and he was kind of going over that he thinks that they might tease the PlayStation 5 Pro, or the Pro here. Again, Xbox has announced an entire console, right, with the series here. So it would be kind of a bite back, for lack of a better way to say it, for Sony to do something similar. And that would incite people and get people excited. So that would be one way that they could show up. But yeah, I mean, outside of what they have for Spider-Man, I can't necessarily think of anything else outside of maybe showing more for Helldivers, which they may, though that's not necessarily a TGA thing. We might get something earlier in the day. What else is along the horizon for them? Other than that, Stellar Blade is the main ones that I'm like genuinely interested in. But yeah, I mean, other than a console announcement, I don't expect for much else to be there. But they're definitely going to make sure that there's some kind of footprint. So they leave some form of a mark for people to talk about. At least it would just be extremely weird if they did end off the year, especially going into Christmas. It's like there's just so many things that lead into this. Christmas is literally a few weeks away. Why not tease some additional things to get the people roaring? Maybe get some additional Spider-Man copies sold, maybe some more Ragnarok sold out there, maybe you get some more VR2 sold, depending if you have some VR games or whatever ready, or some updates or whatever. But yeah, I mean, since I'm not invested in that ecosystem, because I still haven't found a reason to be, it's hard for me to predict or try to be like, man, I think they have all these other things, because a lot of what they have is from what I can recall, second and third party deals that they've made.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, if I was being putting my Sony hat on, Sony fan hat, I should say, I would love something from Ghosts of Tsushima 2, which I pretty sure is in development. I don't
I
know.
think the first one should come to PC. That still hasn't happened.
That has not happened.
That could be another good move for them, right? It has online, use that multiplayer on the PC. Now you have maybe you do some cross-play elements there with your PlayStation players, get them back involved. Now you got something that you're building up here, and then boom, next E3 time, you tease a Ghost of Tsushima 2. That would be something that I would be genuinely interested in because I've heard good things about the multiplayer mode for Ghost of Tsushima, though nobody really talks about it now, which is kind of shameful. But and real quick, because I do want to touch on the whole hacking situation, I guess. This seems to be something that is consistent with them. I don't know if they need a better cybersecurity team or
their network is put together with bubblegum and tape, dude. Like that's a fact.
Yeah, I'd probably give that crown to Nintendo for sure. But yeah, I think PlayStation would definitely be the runner-up as far as network goes. But I know they've worked on it and gotten it better. The thing that bothers me the most as a consumer is the lack of communication. Like when it happens, just send a message out. Hey, by the way, I don't want you to fret. We're working on it. You're not going to lose anything. Nobody got your information. Because if I don't get any of that, it does kind of worry me if I have my information on my account, if I care about my account. Sony is known to perma-ban accounts sometimes for certain things. And since the customer service isn't the greatest, it can be, it's not always a walk in the park to get things done now. I mean, it kind of happens everywhere now, unfortunately, but they have a lot to work on still as they move further into the online era of things, especially on the first party, second party front. I don't know what their plans are as far as how they're going to end up handling that either, but they definitely need to work on it if they think it's going to be successful. Even with 6 gas games, it's not going to be good if one day 100 million people get hacked all of a sudden on your PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5s and whatnot.
No, it makes sense. I don't know why it continues to happen still. The fact that this, I think that so there are two sides to this coin, one of which, and you brought up a great point, is the fact that another hack of some sorts potentially happened, and that's a problem. But I think more so, that makes the conversation worse for Sony is the lack of communication with its consumers.
Yeah.
Did this happen? What happened? Why did my account get permabanned and then out of nowhere it gets unbanned? I don't know. I mean, because I checked mine and mine wasn't banned, but I didn't check first thing yesterday. I mean, could it have been banned? Maybe. I don't know, but it was working when but right before the show went live, I said, you know what? Let me go to the store. Let me throw in Spider-Man. Let me see if I can run through the city and see if anything happens. And everything worked great. So it was awesome. I signed in and we were ready to go. So I had no issues, but potentially hundreds or thousands of people did, and we still don't know because, The Verge told us so, that they reached out and they got no response from them. I think that's kind of crummy, and that is very, very typical of Sony. But listen, unfortunately, it is what it is, and it's disappointing. So let me catch up on these super chats, Umbra. We got DRAM 90 drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says Xbox needs minimum marketing if you want to be number. I can maybe maximum marketing if you want to be number one. You got to be aggressive. Indeed, I absolutely agree. Whole grain bread. Drop some facts and some knowledge here. He says Take-Two's FY25 is between 4/1/24 and 3/31/25. Last quarter, Zelnick mentioned that the game coming out in FY I guess 24. I believe Schreier said spring 2025 is the scheduled date. So maybe he has more information on it. I just didn't say. Well, he has me blocked, so I can't see what Schreier says. But according to Whole Grain Bread, and thank you for the hot information, of course, the generosity. He says that Schreier says it's spring 2025. So that would fall into that right before the new quarter, the new yearly numbers start. So that actually makes sense. So maybe it is March, in first quarter of the year. of 25. That would be pretty big, to be honest with you. Highlander 001 drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says GTA 6 will out will outsell and dwarf Wolverine on the PlayStation 5. Yeah, there's just no doubt about it. Raiden Blade drops a £2 super chat and says Rock snub to VGA is because of losing to God of War before.
He was saying he's the emoji for the rock star.
Rockstar. Okay, snub to VGA because it's losing to God of War before. I mean personally, I quite enjoyed God of War. I don't know if because I mean, like I said, for me, Rockstar does a great job with their games. Red Dead Redemption 2, I got to chapter 6 and I just fell off a cliff with it. I didn't beat it. I'm like, yeah, I've had enough. Red Dead 1, I couldn't put down. This one, I was like, yep, I've just about hit my peak.
It's so funny. It was the opposite for me. Part 1, I put down for a long time and came back to. Part 2, I couldn't get out of that world. I was just in there like, that's a good boy. Like everywhere. I was just loving it. I was loving the hell out of that game, man.
Yeah, I mean, game is gorgeous, and now with the more higher power consoles, it's a stunner. We have Will Sims in the chat. He drops, folks, an outstanding $20 super chat and says, here's the kill shot. Okay, GTA sold approximately 200 million over 10 years, 14 billion in profit. Microsoft pays 10 billion, 1 year console exclusive, 6 months mobile app after 1 year Game Pass and perpetuity. 6 months exclusive on DLC, also streaming and marketing rights. Well, I will say this. Someone had said in the chat that Take-Two said no to exclusive. So I don't think anyone would, because they'd lose way too much money if it was exclusive to one platform. And they definitely wouldn't do it now because it's not coming out on PC date, which is not surprising because they usually do that anyway.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they say no exclusive. I'm sure they mean like as far as just the main game itself, but
right.
That doesn't, rule out them giving like I said, expansion. I think
an expansion exclusive. Yeah, no, I absolutely. The money's there. Money talks. What walks. But let's get your hot take on this Sony shenanigans. They've had a pretty poor year. There's just no doubting it. And they have done a lot of things to hurt their own brand. Now, granted, they're still selling consoles. We got to be fair. They are selling consoles like it's going out of style. It's fine. But they don't have any games outside of Spider-Man. I mean, you got, again, if you count, those third-party marketing deals, you got Forspoken. You got obviously Final Fantasy 16, which you quite enjoyed. There's been a few that they have like timed exclusive for stuff. But this is just another rake that they're stepping on, and we don't even have an update acknowledging that this happened. This is the problem with Sony.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I think Steel kind of covered it mostly well, honestly. I don't know how much more I can expand on that or expound on it, but my thing is, it's odd that because communication is key for something like this. When you have so many people putting in thousands of their dollars and they have so much invested into that ecosystem, because you got DLC, microtransactions, movies, you know what I mean, things of that nature, digital games you may have purchased, whatever the case. Like, you got all these things you've bought, and not even including the physical, if people have that, of course, peripherals that you people done bought to play these games for, like the PSVR too. Right there, right? Still,
But, hey, first party or the winner of the year.
Hey, listen, kudos where kudos, I guess, belong. But all these things that people have invested in. So if you can't access that and you have no answers, you're going to be frustrated. I know that if this happened to me, well, I probably wouldn't be too mad because I barely touched this PlayStation. But still, I still would be like, hold on now, where can I get access to my stuff? Right now, funny enough, I am playing Final Fantasy 16, but that's not first party. Anyway, that said, no, I mean, I can see, like, I wouldn't. The thing is, like, you look at somebody like we're so used to Microsoft on this side of things delivering so well in a lot of these areas. Customer service has always been one of the strongest suits for Microsoft, in my honest opinion. And I say this having dealt with them when I've had, again, 7 red rings of death. So, and every time they handled me with care, there was no delay. They got straight to the point. Send it in. Okay, here's the box for you. They sent to me. Send it off. Okay, that didn't work out. Let's give you another one. Okay, that didn't work out. Here's a brand new one. Okay, for your convenience or your inconvenience, rather, here are some controllers. Here's some games. Here's $200. I'm not joking. They gave me $200. So all these things, because they had actual representative come out to me, excuse me, and interview me from Microsoft, and they had ran a disc in the 360 to spin it really fast, I guess, to test it, and all these things as they interviewed me, you know. And I got $100. He came twice. Pause. He came.
Holy matrimony.
So he was the delivery man.
I was on it.
Okay.
I was on it. Pause. And he gave me 100 the first time and 100 the second. I felt much like the GTA heifers and hookers. No, seriously, it came through there and gave me that. So I felt really. I felt really appreciated by Microsoft. That's the thing I want. And that's the thing I kind of look at Sony and on the other side of things. We hear infamous stories about how you go through so much nonsense having to deal with their customer service. And I think, Boom, you brought it to our attention about your brother who had happened with him, and he purchased that, and it was just like, nope. You're banned, or we taking it away from you. What was the situation? How did it work out again?
Okay, so what happened with my brother Neo Mental is that he had pre-ordered Destiny 2 both on the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 at the time, and very simple. What happened was he was in a position where he got a promotion, and his gaming time wasn't going to be as available. So he played Destiny on PC. He played Destiny on PS4 and Xbox. He has thousands of hours. He is that was his thing. And I would say maybe about 4 months before the game released, he called customer service and said, "Listen, I want to cancel my pre-order." They told him no. He's like, "Well, I don't understand. Why can't I cancel my pre-order? The game doesn't come out for 4 months." Well, once you pre-order it, that's it. And he was like, "Well, okay, I'm going to take this to the next level." He went to his bank, and he went to the bank and said, "Hey, listen, they're not giving me my money back on a pre-order that didn't come out 4 months." The bank got his money back, but they blocked his account, and they wouldn't unlock his account until he bought Destiny 2 again. That's facts,
that's pretty ridiculous.
That's why they've changed it to where when you do pre-orders, like they typically don't take the money out now until like real close to release, at least from what I've noticed.
Okay, so they kind of handle it like for instance the Steam Deck situation where you ordered and they didn't take it out until really there was time. Okay, but the thing is, like, well, I mean, for me, like, I typically don't pre-order when it comes to any of these since I'm all digital. I just get it the day of, but. Yeah, unless it's some really good incentive. But no, the thing is, I think Sony has long been, far behind as far as that goes. For them to be the market leader, that's one area they are particularly bad at.
They're terrible at it. They're absolutely astoundingly bad at it. Yes.
And that just goes into it. And much like Steel, like you pointed out, one of my thoughts was like, maybe it's a networking thing. They got to get this stuff. I mean, we know they've been hacked many times. And it's led to situations. So this to me seems like that. But the weirdest thing is to not address it. To not address it at all is just odd. Like you would see Microsoft address it. You would see probably even Nintendo address it. I just don't understand why Sony didn't address it. We can't say, by the way, because I know some people might be like, well, people didn't really report this. The news, well, they did. I looked on Google. There's plenty of articles up about this.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It might not have been blown up to a big degree, but they definitely talked on it. So I'll give the journalist a little breathing room on this one. But no, I think it's just a matter of that Sony needs to get better when it comes to handling that. And I mean, because even when you heard about the whole digital thing, if you buy digital games elsewhere, you cannot play them on PlayStation. They have to be bought within PlayStation's network. So just things like that, I think they need to get in order. I don't know what in the world could have caused such an issue like this, but if I'm a PlayStation only kind of fan and this happened to me, I would be pissed. I can say that for sure.
Yep.
So kudos to that. Some people are getting it corrected, at least not all, but some at least.
Yeah, and again, the fact that we don't have any information from Sony it's a little disturbing to say the least. Daniel, let's get your final take on this, brother. Obviously, the hack happened. You know what, Umbrella? Real quick before we let you go and we get to Daniel, there was one question I want to ask specifically on what happens if Sony shows up with after this. Now, also, folks, this week we learned that people were losing access to digital content they bought because Sony no longer has the rights to it. So if you bought a movie from a particular company, you're going to lose the ability. You don't own that movie. You're not going to be able to watch it. And that also happened this week
Wow.
for Sony. So
Yeah, I
that's
was gonna
pretty
mention
crummy.
that.
That's
And
tough.
so
You talk about digital
again,
rights management. That's
Yeah.
a major slap.
Absolutely. You paid for the content, you bought the film on PSN, and now they're going to lose rights to it, which means that you lose access to it, which is ridiculous.
That's
My
what I'm
question to
talking
you,
about.
Umber, quite simply is what if Sony doesn't show up to the Game Awards? Is anyone going to ring the alarm?
No, our Who brothers will defend them until the death. So nobody's really going to call them out on that. I think though the fact that they'll have a nominee in Game of the Year and they'll likely win some other nominations here and there, I think that'll be enough. And I think they'll probably like show something. They're about to be carried by the third party more than anything, right? So
Yeah.
I can expect the Stellar Yams to show up. I can expect they might show a nice little CGI trailer again for Wolverine or something. You never know. They might show something like that.
They got to do something.
Yeah, I can see them maybe doing that. I mean, they don't have to show gameplay, so they can show CGI. I know some people are kind of like, "Oh, you showed it already. You can't show CGI again." But I think they could do something like that. Like you said, if they dropped Ghost of Tsushima 2 is in the work and showed that like an announcement for that, I think that would go a long way for them. I thought that was excellent game, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite games.
I love
bet
that.
you money they show off a trailer for The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh yeah, good point.
Bet you money.
I'm sure that will be there. Good point.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Real quick, guys. I got to drop out. I got to go get my daughter.
Yeah,
I
what do
just
you think,
wanted to
brother?
shout out. Appreciate you guys. You guys can find me everywhere. Steel Rain, T is a 7. Live a split screen every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK. And boom, Daniel, Umbra. Brothers, it was an excellent conversation. Chat.
Absolutely.
Support these
Likewise,
brothers,
Steel.
please. And yeah, man, we'll catch up with y'all. I gotta get out.
All right,
Absolutely,
brother.
Stu. Thanks so much for joining us, brother. Peace.
Have a good one, brother.
All right.
But I think a Ghost of Tsushima announcement, if they did a part 2 announcement of that, maybe like Danny said, I'm pretty sure you're right. The Last of Us probably.
Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah,
It's gotta be.
so something like that, along with
Well, 'cause-
Spider-Man being nominated for Game of the Year, like that might be it for them. And
So
Or
maybe
they show the Horizon, first Horizon coming to PC. You got a trailer for that. Maybe that would be the.
Did that
the
not already
trailer.
come to PC?
No, not the first one. It's
wow.
being released on PC next year.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's possible. Yeah, they might do a whole thing of let's come into PC and
Yeah.
The Last of Us 2 Part
Well,
2
so
remake.
I skimmed through the last Game Awards while we were talking to see like what they showed.
Yeah.
They showed Lightfall for Destiny 2. I think they owned that by then, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah, they did. Mhm.
They showed Last of Us Part 1 remake thing. They showed a cinematic trailer for Death Stranding 2, and then they showed the DLC for Horizon, the Burning Shores one. So this, whatever they show, I don't necessarily think it'll be something huge because it doesn't seem like that's really what they do. So I wouldn't expect Ghost of Tsushima 2 because that hasn't been officially announced yet.
Right.
I think that probably the best we can hope for is like if that rumor of the God of War DLC thing is real, then maybe that. Or I don't know. Could we get a trailer for Final Shape, the next Destiny thing? Maybe. I'm really just not expecting much from PlayStation on this one.
Yeah,
Just because they haven't shown up all year, you know what I mean? Like they put
Pretty
on
much.
all these showcases and had nothing to show, and it was
Mhm.
just like, I don't know. It feels like at this point, if you had something that you were going to show off this year, you would have shown it at your own thing.
Yep.
And they didn't do any of that.
Right.
So
yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, unless any of these, I guess, service games they have are closer to anything, maybe they could show something.
Oh
like that.
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, they could show Jade Raymond's game, which obviously she was working on before, which what she was working on when they purchased her studio.
Yep.
The one that looks like Payday. I think that's gonna flop, personally.
I think so too.
Because Payday flopped, and Payday 3 is the original, and well, it didn't do as good as some of the other ones. I don't expect this to do any good either. I'm actually disappointed because Jade Raymond is known for her single player prowess when it comes to, like, Assassin's Creed, and she worked on Splinter Cell. I would have thought she would be. I thought her studio purchase would be to bring to the table what Sony is known for, and that's that story driven single player type of game.
Yep.
And when I saw it was a multiplayer game, I was like,
I lost
wow,
all interest. Deviated. It's as much in the same vein of Rocksteady and them doing what they did here with Suicide Squad. It's like, no, this is not what
what we want from
not what I
Rocksteady.
want from them at all. Yeah.
I'd like a new Arkham of some sorts.
Yes.
From them. That would be dope.
Hell, a Justice League would have been fine.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But all right, well, listen, this has been a great 2 hours, to be honest with you. I think we covered 3 topics, one of which was the opening one with Grand Theft Auto. We spent almost a little over an hour on that, and I was happy to have that conversation because there's a lot to get into. GTA is going to be
almost an hour on 90 seconds of footage.
Yeah, but I think there was a lot more pointed conversation in regards to who gets marketing and who should spend the money, because the marketing on that is going to be ridiculous. Just again, we're in a world where engagement is a thing. It is what drives gaming. It's what drives gaming media, which is why they continue to do the hate clicks for Xbox, because hate content drives clicks for the IGNs and the PC Mags and GameSpots and Kotaku's, right? That's what drives their engagement. And GTA 6, just if you look at the numbers, it's crazy. It is just bonkers that there is that much engagement on a leaked trailer and a stilled image from last Friday. But GTA is one of those IPs that is not only legendary, it is iconic.
That's the weight of Grand Theft Auto. It is absolutely at any time, and people will show up for it.
Yep, 1000%. But listen, we are up to date with super chats. Thank you, a big thank you to all the super chats that have come in today. A big thank you for all the gifted subs to Double Barrel Gaming's membership. And of course, if you are already subscribed to Double Barrel Gaming through membership, I want to say thank you for that, because obviously that generosity allows for Mrs. Boom and I to do these big giveaways. And there is one more big giveaway coming the 22nd of December, folks. That's right. We are giving away $1,500 on the 6th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. And that is all funded from the super chats and the channel memberships that we do have and consistently continue to get, because obviously I am retired and, well, my pension is great, but it's not that great. And with that said, let's get to the outros, folks. Again, as we get closer to the end of the year, closer to the holiday, Mrs. Boom and I will do some advertising on the socials. We ask that you retweet it and favorite. And, we're gonna again, it's $1,500, 10 $100 gift cards, 2 grand prizes. 2 people are going to walk away with a $250 gift card to your platform of choice. That, of course, includes Steam, PlayStation Network, if it's still up and running, Xbox, and, of course, Nintendo eShop. Umbra, let's sell your brand, brother. The Fix is coming up this Thursday. You're going to be talking potentially Grand Theft Auto and, well, maybe some predictions for the Game Awards. I don't know if you guys are doing a co-stream with the Game Awards, but there's going to be a lot to get into, a lot of big surprises.
Yeah.
Please sell the brand of The Fix, and where can people subscribe? And more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, so this was a really good discussion, actually. It kind of breezed through, honestly, for me. So I'm definitely about to play me some Halo after this. But
nice.
Yeah. Shout out to Steele for coming through. Always fun to talk with that brother. And of course, you guys, of course, my mainstay is Danny and you, Boom. and into the chat family, guys, man, you all had you had me cracking up throughout the whole thing, so I appreciate you guys.
That was on fire today, as they always are.
Yeah, you were. Remake Station. I do not love Sony deeply. But yeah, no, this was a good discussion. Had really good. The thing about the GTA thing too, I want to speak about really quick is just like Danny he was joking, of course, but he said like our discussion of 90-second of trailer. But I got so many other questions I can actually kind of field off of that. That's like the funniest thing to me. Like, and I do want to approach it differently, obviously, for our show Thursday. But it's just funny because like something this monumentous, you know what I mean? You have to talk about it, right? It's just that it's that type of event kind of game in gaming. Honestly, you got to speak on it in so many different ways and look at it in different angles. But of course, you guys can find me on Twitter, X, Infinite Umber or Umber Infinite. You will find me either way. I just put the link in the chat for the show. Nice. So if you guys are on the wall, on the fence, I suppose, if you have not joined us and subscribe, please do so. Much appreciated. And come by Thursday if you're free, rather. I know it's going to be a few guys doing co-streams and live streams and stuff of it. And we will be doing it too, although a bit different. So my intention is to speak on Grand Theft Auto to a degree. I don't know how long, maybe 30 minutes, maybe less. It all depends on how time works out. And we'll be starting roughly right when the show is already going, the Game Awards. But it won't be any of the major nominees at that point, although I will be playing the video of it, likely muted, of course, just in case there's any music playing, whatever.
Yeah, so 100% there's going to be something that we're not allowed to stream.
That's what I'm figuring. Thank you, El Nini. So yeah, if you guys can come by and join us. I was thinking of trying to do something with the community where I could have you guys join in really quick for a 5-minute discussion and give your thoughts on whatever nominee that won, things like that. I could do that. If it depends on you guys, if you all really for that. Let me know on my on a matter of fact, I'll make a tweet about it and you guys can chime in, and if it's enough interest in it, I can just bring you to the Discord and we can kind of do that a little bit. Nothing too crazy, of course. We want to keep it respectful, and don't curse us out if you get online. Oh, I was waiting for this moment. Hey, now that I have your attention, all right, F you, bruh. I know you're really a pony. But yeah, so we're going to cover obviously GTA. We're going to cover the Game Awards as much as we can. Hopefully it works out within a time where we can get to the final game of the year being put out by the show, but it might go past us, so we'll see how it works out. But much love to chat and much love to you guys.
Well, thank you, brother. Super appreciate it. Real quick before you bring Daniel in here, folks, I got to tell you, we are at 13,756 subs, meaning that we are 44 subs away from 14K. Now, I don't know of the 400 plus people here could somehow get us to the finish line before the show ends. It's unlikely, but I am going to ask that if you are finding the channel for the first time, please, for the love of Joe or the love of Pete or for the love of whoever you love, please consider subscribing. I do this 5 days a week. That's right, folks. Monday through Friday, 5 different streams, 5 different panels. But you know what? All great and fun content. And of course, we do this for the price of, just being fans of gaming. And we definitely appreciate any subs that we can get to get closer to that 14K. We would love to do this before Christmas. It would be a real solid year for us to get to hit that 14K. And of course, please consider subscribing if you are here. Daniel McGee, let's sell not only the brand of the fix, but we got to sell your brand, because obviously you are rewriting the DCEU.
True.
And folks, I'm here to tell you that he has some of the best long and short form content on YouTube. You should definitely get over there, check him out, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you know every time he goes live or he drops a new video. Sell your brand, Daniel. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? And more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, so you can find me on social media, as always, at Daniel J. McGee on Twitter. But I've got a call to action for you guys. I'm at 797 subscribers on YouTube, so it would mean a lot to me if literally only 3 of you could go over to my channel and hit me to that 800 number. I'm dropping the the links in the chat and stuff. Just put out a brand new video last night talking about AI in game development with a friend of the show, Agent Deli. He's a game dev who currently works in the industry, so he's got a lot of really great knowledge on the topic. I think it's going to be a really important conversation very soon. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like a race between AI and unions to see which one's going to win out first. So please run on by the channel, hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. You ain't even got to watch nothing right now. Just go by and hit sub. I need 3 to hit 800, and it'll make me feel real good about myself. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And folks, if you're asking and you want to know what's on the screen, this is Shadow Warrior 3, one of my favorite games from last year. What an amazing game. Very gory, as you saw. But big thank you for everyone. We had over 600 people that turned out for today's show. Big thank you for that. And of course, again, the generosity is incredibly humbling, and we're very thankful for the consistency of it. And again, it really does allow us to, keep everything, because we spent a lot of money specifically this year on artwork, unifying the channel, using Sean Labrie and his talent. Listen, that all costs money, as well as the prizes that we've given away so far this year, and what we're going to give away at the end of December. And we do like to then take the super chats and the channel memberships and push them back into the community. And you folks deserve it, because we're owed nothing, and we do this for the love of gaming, and we are incredibly appreciative of the generosity that continues to come in. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Well, folks, hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.